I think when I see a young black kid with a bunch of white kids, or like I try to watch for things that are happening, and I was thinking to myself,
get some fake tan on there, girl. Get to the sunbeds. Take some melanin injections to help you tan better.
Intoxicated on an island full of men and teenage boys, we would be justifiably outraged. That is a careless and reckless thing to do. And
that one of the big reasons why black individuals are arrested for crimes at a disproportionate rate compared to white individuals and sentenced and thrown in jail would be the fact that they're over arrested for crimes that they did not commit.
So black people have been going through racism since Adam. And sometimes you just ask yourself, what have we done as black people? And you don't even understand why white people hate black people so much. And not even only white people, but around the world, actually. Even Asians, they hate black people. But there is a white lady or a white woman that is breaking down the reason why white people hate black people. She's giving us all the gist. And also I have other white folks sharing their opinion about this racism, and also the boy that was unalived by his white rich friends. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. You don't lose anything by liking. Just give the video a thumbs up. Let's go into the video, watch, come back and talk.
So hey boo, I just had a thought. One of the reasons white people hate black people is because we cannot tolerate black joy. We cannot tolerate black intelligence. We cannot tolerate black beauty. We cannot tolerate black confidence. We cannot tolerate black camaraderie. We cannot tolerate anything that frees a black person. There's a level of racism that I think hits differently for black people than it does for Asian people or Hispanic people or Middle Eastern people or Native Americans even. Each one of those things that people think regarding other races are different with black people, I think. Because again, we don't like black people to be educated. We don't like them to be successful. We don't want black judges. We don't want anything for black people that doesn't directly affect and entertain us. So we can have a black nanny. We can have a black house cleaner. We can have a black teacher. We can have a black coach. We can have black players. But only for the specific things that we feel comfortable with. I think about all those sweet children that have been killed, murdered, when they go out with their white friends. And I think that as much as the trauma of slavery comes down through the DNA, I think also the cruelty of slavery, the desire to hurt, the desire to steal and kill and humiliate and torment and disappear black people is what comes down through the DNA. I think when you do something like that for long enough and you pass it down for the many years that slavery and enslaved people were in chains, that is an instinct with us, cruelty. And I think you can see it in many videos. All the white women and white men that are telling black kids and black families to get the hell out of here, you don't belong. We just don't want you to have more than us, honey. We just don't want you to be prettier. We don't want you to be the beauty standard. We don't want you to be judges or anything like that. We want you to be below us, beneath us. And we've tried so hard to keep you down, and we failed so badly. Because like Maya Angelou said, still you rise. We may hate you, we may beat you, we may do those things, and it makes us crazy that you keep coming back and getting better. We can't stand it. I don't know why that is. I think I heard somebody say that white people are the ones that have the ancestors that were closely related to the apes. And I believe that. We are so similar to Cro-Magnon man, Neanderthals. We're fucking pale monsters. I really hate being white sometimes. I'm super ashamed. I think things like, sorry, I don't get good sleep right now. I think when I see a young black kid with a bunch of white kids, or like I try to watch for things that are happening, and I was thinking to myself, you know, if I saw a black kid hopping in a vehicle with a bunch of white kids, what would I do? I mean, you know, I could do anything. I could get the black kid to come over and say, hey, I think I know your mother, come here. And then to say, you better get away from all them white boys. But I had a brown friend of mine tell me that that was silly and that it is savior-ish. Ooh, and I don't like that. White savior, white savior. Ugh. And then I still do it. I have it in me that black people need my help. Mexican people need my help. Hispanic people need my help. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. If they do, oh, please forgive me. I'm so sorry. If they do, they'll ask. That's one thing. They'll ask. And I'll know instinctually if I'm out and about and something's happening. I can just pay attention and see if there's a way for me to step to whatever the white person is doing. I don't know. We'll see. I think the cruelty lives in us, and I don't mean it like we don't have a choice. Of course we have a choice, but it comes down as instinct, and unless we work desperately, unless we work very, 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 very hard for very, very, very many years, we will never be rid of it. We'll never be rid of it anyway, but anyway, that's my thought for whatever it's.
As a white woman who grew up in a predominantly black area, where I've definitely been the only white person in the room on lots and lots and lots of occasions, I've never been in fear. I've never been afraid. I've never been worried about my safety. With that being said, as a white woman with biracial children, I don't give a fuck if it's their cousins. My boys will not be the only black child in the room. They won't.
Black people, you have got to teach your kids, especially your kids that are hanging out with rich white kids. That is not good. You gotta stop letting them hang out with rich white kids. This Nolan Wells situation never should have happened. The parents of Nolan Wells should have known better than to let him hang out with these kids. I have an older son. I'm not saying it's the parents' fault, but I'm just saying it happens all the time. My older son is half black. He looked more black than he did half. But he got into a similar situation. He was fighting with a bunch of rich kids in North Atlanta, the North Atlanta suburbs, the richest neighborhood in Cherokee County, Georgia. And he was fighting with a bunch of boys over a girl. And lucky for him, he didn't wind up dead. He just wound up locked up for a while. But it could have wound up with him being killed. And, you know, we as parents, we have to do a better job in informing our children about who they should and shouldn't hang out with, because matters. The color of your skin matters, especially when you're hanging out with a bunch of rich kids that have, doctors and lawyers and judges as parents, you know that your kid is going to either wind up locked up or dead. So my heart goes out to Nolan Wells' family. I really hate that it happened to him, but you gotta protect your children, because white people will kill your children at the drop of a hat. That's just the way it is, especially these entitled little rich white kids. God loves you.
What do you think we should do about the epidemic of black crime in our country?
Okay, so I just spent like an hour talking to a misogynist. Now I'm going to spend another hour talking to a racist. Well, I actually have a question in return to you. What are we going to do about the epidemic, about the over-arrest and over-incarceration rate of innocent black people in America?
They're not innocent.
So you know this first stat, okay? I know you do, because it plays into your racist tropes all the time. The population, what percent of it is black?
13.
14. You were one off, 14%. And out of all of the exonerations in the American criminal justice system, what percentage of them are of black people?
That I don't know, but I'm sure it's the exact right amount, maybe. It's
86%. Black people account for 14% of the American population. Meanwhile, they account for over 86% of the exonerations in the criminal justice system. So when you come up here and you tell me that we have an epidemic of crime in this country committed and perpetuated by black individuals, in all reality, what we truly have an epidemic of is the over-incarceration and over-arrest rate of black individuals for crimes that they didn't commit.
maybe if they didn't commit them directly, they were connected in some way.
No, an exoneration means that they were fully cleared. They're fully exonerated. There's no legal basis for prosecution. And if you believe that it's innocent until proven guilty, then you think they're innocent.
Do you think that's the reason why prison population is majority black?
Yeah, that's one of the really big ones.
So you don't think they're innocent? You don't think, I mean, you think they're innocent?
I would argue that one of the big reasons why black individuals are arrested for crimes at a disproportionate rate compared to white individuals and sentenced and thrown in jail would be the fact that they're over-arrested for crimes that they did not commit. So could you please respond to that fact? Tell me why you think that black individuals account for over 80% of the exonerations in the criminal justice system.
Because they commit more crimes than white people?
Do you know what an exoneration is? And no, they don't account. They don't commit more crimes than white people. That's actually not true. Nominally, that's false.
I mean, yeah, because there's more white people in the U.S.
Right. But then they still account for vast majority of all exonerations. Why?
Because we're filtering out. Gotta filter out.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, because they're all criminals. So, I mean, that's good. That's great.
Okay, yeah, you have an IQ of like 10. You have an IQ of like 10. We're gonna move on to the next guest. That's what a very racist person looks like, by the way. He's so racist and dumb that he doesn't even know what exoneration means. He's saying that they're all criminals, therefore it's great that we're exonerating them. He doesn't even know that exoneration means to let free. An exoneration means to make innocent. An exoneration means to release from detention, release from jail, release from custody. Right? Dude. Oh my God. No, okay. What a racist POS. What a racist, completely racist POS. His brain is so fried by consuming Nick Fuentes and Marlon Gaines all day that he doesn't even know what exoneration means because it has like fucking 3 syllables, dude. Yeah, I'd say that the max amount of syllables that a racist like that could understand is maybe 2 on a good day. Maybe 2 on a good day. And that's why he didn't even know, right, what the word exoneration means. So
nobody hates white skin quite as much as white people. As you can probably see, I am not a very melanated person. My melanin comes in the form of freckles. All my life, especially when I was younger, when my skin was fresh and new and not so sun damaged, I was ripped for the colour of my skin, for my complexion, only ever by other white people. I have been told, get some fake tan on there, girl. Get to the sunbeds. Take some melanin injections to help you tan better. And when a little bit of sunshine comes to the UK, what do we see immediately? Men with their top off, no SPF, drenching themselves in tanning oil. The stench of stale biscuits fills the air because the girlies are layering on their St. Moriz fake tan. And the sunbed shops are fully booked with people frying their skin just in an attempt to be a bit darker. The funniest part is I live in the UK, the same UK that complains about the rise of multiculturalism, the same UK where people talk about protecting British values. Mate, you can't even protect your own skin. Why are you caring about someone else's? I don't spend a lot of time trying to understand racists, because I never will. I'm a good person, but I can only assume that a lot of it boils down to envy. The irony of white supremacists purposely trying to make their skin darker will never not be funny to me.
A lot of people in the black community and white community are very pissed at the 3 white teens who left Nolan Wells on that island and feel like that they bear some responsibility, even if it was an accidental drowning. And white people are really struggling with this, and they feel like it's not fair. There's no evidence as of yet to show that they did anything wrong. Let me help y'all out. If Nolan Wells was a white teenage girl who had been drinking, and that island was full of men and teenage boys who had also been drinking, and her 3 teen male friends packed up in the boat and left her alone without a phone, intoxicated on an island full of men and teenage boys, we would be justifiably outraged. That is a careless and reckless thing to do. And if you're old enough to drink and operate a boat, you are old enough to know how to treat a lady, and you're old enough to know not to leave her in such a dangerous situation. But we don't think about Nolan Wells, a black teen boy last seen talking to a girl drinking that day without a phone on an island full of white people and the sun setting, as vulnerable. Excuse me? Has no one been paying attention in history class? If you're old enough to drink and operate a boat, you're old enough to know how to treat a woman, and you're old enough to know how to treat your black friends. And the black community is right to be outraged, because not teaching those boys how to handle that situation, not teaching those boys not to leave that goddamn island and leave their black friend on that island without any communication, last seen talking to a white girl, is stupidity at best. Frankly, it's the type of reckless, careless, blind white supremacy that we all see clearly, those of us that have deconstructed. Why would they see him as vulnerable? They don't see him as a person. You have to see someone before you can see them as a vulnerable person.
I undoubtedly believe that this photograph will be in our history books one day. I don't know this beautiful black young lady. I don't know her name. I won't pretend to know how she's feeling. I sympathize with her because I can't imagine. These are the white nationalists that are protesting in Washington, D.C. today. And this was a train full of them. Unfortunately, this is the America that we currently are living in. And I would say they have no shame, but they do have shame. They know what they're doing is shameful. Look at them covering up with their white masks on their faces. What is that? Instead of the hoods, is it now white masks? This is bold. This is disgusting. And they are the most unpatriotic people in this country, even though they call themselves the Patriotic Front. The Patriot Front. Yeah, it's a front for being a coward. That's what I think about them. Yeah. Let me know what your thoughts are.
Caucasity leads to cracktivity, leads to crackganda, leads to caucasity. As you can see, it's a vicious cycle. Let me give you guys some examples so I can expand further on this. Example number 1. The caucasity of the whites to go and get braids and dreads spawns the crackganda of Viking braids to justify the cracktivities, which spawns even more caucasity for the whites to make videos like these.
We should have two locticians. One, a retweet expert and a style.
This is misinformation, and I'm gonna tell you why.
I was denied service because of my braids.
As you can see, it's a vicious cycle. Now, these three elements support each other, which means that they do not have one fixed starting point, which leads me to example number 3. The crackganda that is veganism. Thanks to the crackganda that is veganism, it gives the whites the caucasity to lecture Native Americans about how it's immoral to hunt for their own food. The vicious cycle and the weaponization of the crackganda hurts all people of color. Here's an important thing. As you can see where I put cracktivity, I have also doodled a picture of a Klansman. The reason is cracktivity can also be replaced with clantivity. This is because the vicious cycle is not always violence, but it always promotes racism, which leads me to example number 3. The crackganda, that is the American school system, gives the whites the caucasity to do one of two things. Number 1, say slurs, free speech, all that. Number 2, racial profiling. As you can see, cracktivity can also be replaced with clantivity, because non-violent racism is still racism. Here's another important thing. Remember when I say these three elements support each other. So, there are some instances to where two elements cause another, which leads me to example number 4. The crackganda that illegal immigrants are destroying this country, and the caucasity of white people to say that cause the clantivity that is ICE. Bradley, why are you saying ICE is Klan? Because they're Klan. Klansmen are unofficial. These are official officer of the law. Doesn't matter if you put a badge on them, these crackers are still Klan. So as you can see, even when the vicious cycle is not a cycle, it's still vicious. My name is Bradley, and this has been a lecture on the crackcycle. Liberation be your thoughts. Peace.
We need to ask ourselves one thing. Why are some of us racist towards black people? Like, what have they done to you? Like, come on, really. There's definitely something broken inside you, like all those stereotypes or whatever you see in the news, and then you obviously try to associate them with like something worse. Like, you know, why is it that black people are always being criminalized? Why is it that they're being stopped and searched in London or anywhere in UK? They're being stopped and searched like 7 to 10 times more than a white person. Why? Also, one day I was going to college with my Nigerian friend, okay? And as you can tell that I'm not black, but he was black. Now here's the thing, right? As soon as we entered our college ID and we got inside the gate, right? There was like a couple of security men, and they were both white, right? And the security said that, you know, the security told me to go. The security let me go because I've not done anything wrong. And the security approached him and asked him if he's got any weed inside his pockets, right? And I was like, what the hell did I just observe in front of me, right? And then obviously I went into my classroom, and of course what happened was the guy came back to me and literally told me he never smokes weed or does any of that shit, right? Yet the security just approached him. Why? Because he's black. Come on, bro. Like the whole justice system, like all this systemic racism that's going on, black people being more likely to be excluded from schools, are more likely to be arrested. Come on, bro. Come on. Why are they being seen as less than human? Like, what have they done to you? The problem is, you don't have as much exposure towards black people. And as a person myself, I've had a lot of exposure amongst black people in college, at workplace, and they've been the most helpful human beings that I've ever met so far. They've been the most helpful, always checking out on your well-being. I've never ever noticed a single part of them having this attitude of, oh, I don't give a shit, or, having a different sort of tone of energy, seeing another person of color like me appearing in front of them. No. They've always been fair. They've always been helpful. They have this insane level of humanity in them. And yet they're being criminalized. Yet they're being stereotyped. Yet they're being seen as aggressive just because, yes, it might be cultural that, some people are louder than others, yet they're being seen as aggressive. And that's a harsh label. And furthermore, we need to understand one thing about black people. And actually, us human beings, right? Our skin tones are different to them. But in reality, we're just a mutation of black people, right? Brown, orange, many different skin tones, or even white. They have migrated to different parts of the world, originally coming from Africa around 300,000 years ago. And that's research done. So it's backed up by research that they've all came from Africa around 300,000 years ago, moved to different continents, and now they've lived there over time, mutations, But come on, bro. And they're always hated upon. You really need to have a serious think about what is it that's wrong in your thinking or in your actions as to how you treat black people. Because, really, I've got the greatest respect for them.
So many a times we ask ourselves a lot of questions, honestly, because when you look at how racism has just destroyed black people, it basically doesn't even allow black people to progress, to get into certain sectors, certain industries, all because of racism, all because we are black people. You just don't understand why they hate us so much. I don't know. But as this woman said, the reasons that she laid down, what do you think about it? It could be true. Or for me, I think she being a white person and saying some of these things, I think it's true. And some of the things I think we already know. You see, we already know. But we just sometimes put a blind eye on some of these stuffs and just decide to allow things to go. You understand? Black people are very, very forgiving. So we have overlooked a lot of things, and that's also the reason why many a times we don't even think about some of these stuffs. That's how God has created us to be. And for me, I think it's very, very beautiful when it comes to some of these stuffs. Imagine a young black kid having all white friends. They are going somewhere and they will return without the black kid. And the authorities in America, they are saying they don't have any evidence. They don't have any evidence. America that has everything, the FBI, the CIA, everything, they are saying they don't have evidence. They just don't want to do it because it's a black kid. If it was to be a white kid, a black kid that has done this to a white kid, they will look for all the information, whatever evidence, and prosecute that particular black kid or black kids. But this is the world we live in. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching.